In this short video discussion, we are going to have a rapid revision of OBGY through 35 plus high yield images from Williams Obstetrics, and we will have some short discussion based on those topics. So I recommend you to watch the full video because each and every image is a potential question, and if not, then you can watch the specific videos from the timeline which has the topics. So the first image is your modified Regence maneuver. This maneuver is used during the extension phase of the labor, and what the physician is doing is he is lifting the chin of the baby with one hand and keeping one hand on the occiput, and this decreases the chances of perineal tears. The next image is, so the next image which we see is this is a section of shoulder dystocia. So in shoulder dystocia, the first or the most effective or the best maneuver which is there is your McRoberts maneuver. So what McRoberts maneuver is, so in McRoberts maneuver, the assistant is basically sharply flexing the thighs up onto the abdomen and also giving a suprapubic pressure. And the most important part is the most common nerve injured during this maneuver is your lateral cutaneous nerve of thigh, L2 L3 value. If McRoberts maneuver fails, you have the other maneuver which is called as the Woods corkscrew maneuver. So Woods maneuver, what we do is we keep the hand behind the occiput, and the physician which is there, he rotates the head progressively into the 180-degree angle in a corkscrew manner. So hence it is known as Woods corkscrew maneuver. So the next maneuver is your Rubin's maneuver, which is outdated, similar to your Gaskin's maneuver and your Zavanelli's maneuver. So here what the physician does is it pushes the most accessible fetal shoulder onto the chest, which facilitates the delivery of the shoulder. Okay, so the next maneuver we'll see is, now we are going to go into the section of breech deliveries. So first maneuver which is there is your Morrissey's maneuver, also known as Morrissey-Smyth-Valley maneuver. And here what the physician is doing is he is giving suprapubic pressure. Apart from that, there is pressure on the maxilla simultaneously. Okay, so this is your Morrissey's maneuver. Next is your Prague's maneuver. So in Prague's maneuver, the most important thing is in delivery of breech, here in this case the back is posterior, so delivery of the breech with the back posterior is done by your modified Prague's maneuver. So P for Prague, P for posterior back. The next maneuver which is there is used in delivery of your legs in case of breech. So what the physician is doing is giving pressure in the popliteal fossa, and with that there is delivery of the legs. So the next point about the breech delivery is your Piper's forceps. So in Piper's forceps we use for delivery of your aftercoming head of breech. This is your Piper's forceps. So now we will discuss Burns-Marshall maneuver, which is the most common maneuver used. You can see here the back is anterior, in contrast to back posterior in Prague's maneuver. So first the baby is allowed to hang on its weight, then we hold the feet and we deliver the baby with the flexion. The next maneuver which is there is your Loveseth's maneuver. Loveseth's maneuver is basically used to deliver the shoulders in a breech delivery. As you can see, there is rotation. We rotate the baby and holding the pelvis, and the shoulders are delivered one by one. The next thing which is there in case of breech delivery, so in cases of breech delivery, to deliver the head of the aftercoming breech in preterm babies, we perform Durison's incisions, and they are taken at 2 o'clock and 10 o'clock position, so to facilitate the delivery of the head of aftercoming breech in preterm deliveries. So the next point is, now we'll see about the vacuum delivery system. So this image what you see here is the vacuum delivery system. Okay, similarly here as well. Now the important point is about the flexion point. So flexion point is 3 cm anterior from the posterior fontanelle and 6 cm backwards from your anterior fontanelle. Okay, next point is about your umbilical artery Doppler, which is done for your assessment in PIH and UGR. So here we will see that this is your systolic part, S part, this is your diastolic part. We calculate the S/D ratio, and now you can see that this is the normal umbilical artery Doppler. So in this case, as you can see that this is the systolic part and this is the diastolic part, and diastolic part is almost absent. So this is your absent end diastolic flow, and in these cases you will deliver the baby at 34 weeks of gestation. And what you can see here is this is the systolic part, and this is the diastolic part, which is reversed. So this is reversal of the end diastolic flow, and this, in these conditions, the baby is delivered as soon as possible, or the termination of pregnancy is done irrespective of the age. So now we are going to discuss about the imaging in twins. So in twins we have your dichorionic twins and your monochorionic twins. So in dichorionic twins you have 4 membranes, and due to that there is a typical appearance, which is your twin peak sign or your lambda sign. So lambda sign or your twin peak sign, which is there in this image, is shown here. Now you have just a small thin membrane seen in conditions of your monochorionic diamniotic twins, and this is a typical T sign. Okay. Next, this is the image of B-lean suture or your brace sutures used in postpartum hemorrhage. So in postpartum hemorrhage, these B-lean sutures which are there, these are anterior posterior sutures, compression sutures, which are used in PPH. Okay. Next is your Buckley balloon catheter. Buckley balloon catheter, it controls the PPH by the tamponade effect, and we insert around 300 to 500, maximum of 500 ml of NS into the Buckley balloon catheter. Now we have, for the management of cervical incompetence, we do cerclage. So in cerclage we have 2 types, McDonald's and Schrodger's. So McDonald's, which is most commonly used. In McDonald's, what we do here is, this is the McDonald's. So in McDonald's we use non-absorbable sutures in a per string manner. This is the per string manner where McDonald's cerclage is done, whereas in Schrodger's we use Marcelline tapes. As you can see, this is the Marcelline tape which is being used, and this is your Schrodger's needle, okay, for cerclage. Next image which you see here is your copper T 380A, which is used by your Government of India in National Program for Family Planning, and it has a span of 10 years. And the other one is Mirena, okay, so which contains LNG, and it is used for 5 years. Next is your MicroSure or eShort contraceptive device. What we do is, hysteroscopically we insert this micro insert device, and this causes fibrosis and leads to sterilization. Next is your Today vaginal sponge. In Today vaginal sponge, they contain spermicidal agent called as nonoxynol 9. This is Nuva ring, which is your estrogen progesterone releasing vaginal contraceptive ring. This is an important image. This is Cervidil vaginal insert. It contains 10 mg of dinoprostone, which is PGE2, and it releases approximately 0.3 mg per hour during the 10-hour period. So now the most important part which we are discussing is your female sterilization techniques. So the first technique is your Pomeroy's technique. We have Pomeroy's and modified Pomeroy's technique. So in Pomeroy's technique, what we do is, we create a loop first here, and we ligate here with the help of plain catgut, and then we cut the ends. Okay. The next technique is your Madeleina's technique. In Madeleina's technique, the most important part is the part which is looped here is crushed with the hemostat. The next part is your Kroner's fimbrectomy. As the name suggests, the fimbria, the distal end is removed. This is your Kroner's fimbrectomy. Next we have Uchida's. So in Uchida's, what we do is, so we cut the fallopian tube from between, and then in Uchida's what we do is, as you can see, the proximal end which is there, it is buried into the myometrium, whereas the distal end which is there, it is outside the mesosalpinx. In contrast to Irving's, in Irving's we are burying the proximal part into the myometrium, and we are also burying the distal part into the mesosalpinx. So this is Irving's. The next part which you are seeing is, next is your Parkland's technique. In Parkland technique, similar to Pomeroy's technique, we have made a loop. So after that, we have cut the different parts, and we have removed the segment. So next image to be discussed is your Leopold's maneuver. So we have the first maneuver, which is your fundal grip, second maneuver, which is your lateral grip, third maneuver, which is your pelvic grip or the first pelvic grip, and the fourth maneuver, which is your second pelvic grip. So the most important point is, only during the third maneuver or the pelvic maneuver we use the physician is using a single hand. Okay. Next, now we will discuss about your types of your grading of your perineal tears. In first degree perineal tears, there is only injury to the vaginal mucosa. In the second degree tear, we are having injury to the vaginal mucosa and the perineal muscles, and this occurs during episiotomy. And in third degree, there is injury to your external anal sphincter and your internal anal sphincter. So 3A is injury to less than 50% of EAS, 3B is injury to more than 50% of external anal sphincter, and 3C includes injury to internal anal sphincter. Your fourth stage which is there, it includes injury to your rectal mucosa. And now if we have a complete perineal tear, which is your grade 3 and grade 4, and if the patient presents within 24 hours of the injury, we repair it immediately, whereas if the patient presents after 24 hours, so due to the sepsis and due to the inflammation, we symptomatically treat the patient and we ask the patient for a definitive treatment after 3 months. Now we are going to have the session on your fetal imaging. So first image which you are seeing here is of anencephaly or acrania. So as you can see here, the cranium is absent. This is known as your shower cap sign, and as you can see here is a typical appearance of frog eye appearance seen in your anencephaly. So the most important point is anencephaly is the most earliest diagnosed your neural tube defect at the gestation of 10 weeks. Best diagnosis is done by 14 weeks. Face presentation is the most common part. There is polyhydramnios and post-term delivery, post-dated delivery in these patients of anencephaly. The next part what you can see is here is your encephalocele. This is the brain cranium, and you can see the other part which is there, which is protruding out from the cranial cavity. This is your encephalocele, and encephalocele you have a positive Furstenberg test. So Furstenberg test which you can see in patients with encephalocele is that on basis of when the newborn or the baby cries or coughs, there is pulsation or protruding of this encephalocele. The next part which you can see here is your duodenal atresia, which has a typical double bubble sign, which is your stomach and the duodenum, and this is associated with Down syndrome. Next part is your spina bifida. In spina bifida you have Lehmann sign. So Lehmann sign is basically the inward bowing or scalloping of the frontal bones. This is your Lehmann sign, whereas your banana sign. So for banana sign we have the posterior fossa level, and in that there is anterior curvature of the cerebellum with effacement of cisterna magna, which gives your banana sign. So the next image you see here is, in here what we are measuring here, so we are measuring here the nuchal translucency, which is measured from the inner to inner border and ideally measured at 11 to 13 weeks, and if it is more than 3 it is abnormal. So the first most common conditions where it is abnormal is your chromosomal abnormalities, most commonly trisomy 21, and if it is so we will order a karyotype, and if it comes out to be normal, you will check for CVS anomalies. So next image what we are discussing here is your posterior urethral wall. So in posterior urethral wall we have a typical keyhole appearance. So this is your keyhole appearance seen in posterior urethral wall. Next, so now we will have some teratogenic effect. So this is fetal alcohol syndrome. So in fetal alcohol syndrome you will have short palpebral fissures, you will have hypoplastic philtrum and thin vermilion border. Whereas in patients with fetal Hydantoin syndrome, which is caused by phenytoin, you will have your upturned nose, okay, mid facial hypoplasia, and then we'll also have digital hypoplasia, distal digital hypoplasia. In next condition, which is your isotretinoin embryopathy, you will have bilateral microtia. So in bilateral microtia which is there, and we will also have ocular hypertelorism. So for isotretinoin we advise the couple to at least have a period of 1 month before the pregnancy and the stoppage of drug, whereas acitretinine, which is used in pustula psoriasis, we ideally advise for 3 years between the stoppage of drug and the conceivement. The next condition is your warfarin embryopathy, which is fetal warfarin syndrome or Contradi syndrome. Here typically, as you can see in the image, you can see that there is depressed nasal bridge both in your fetoscopic sonographic image and in the baby. Next we will discuss about Down syndrome. Down syndrome has this characteristic facial appearance, which epicanthal folds, your mongoloid slant, your protruding tongue, and you will also have your increased nuchal tissue and semian crease. So now in this image we are going to discuss about trisomy 18, very important, Edwards syndrome. So in Edwards syndrome what typically we get is, we will get fetal choroid plexus cyst, and these are fetal choroid plexus cyst and strawberry shaped skull. The other point in the Edwards syndrome is, as you can see here, these are overlapping digits, and this is your rocker bottom foot. The most important topic now regarding your feto-maternal hemorrhage in patients of Rh negative pregnancy, we have two tests. First one is your AP test or single alkalis test, and next is your Clear-Bull Bettkes test, also known as acid elution test. So here AP test is a qualitative test and Bettkes test is a quantitative test, and the reagent which is used in them is KOH and NOH in your AP test and citric acid buffered solution in your Bettkes test. So the principle is that the fetal RBCs which are there, they are resistant to your citric acid buffer, phosphate buffer, and they are brightly stained, and the your maternal RBC which are there, they are lightly stained, and they are also known as ghost cells. So this is your Bettkes test. Now we'll see a therapeutic modality this is your fetoscopic laser ablation. So as you can see that we have here anomalous connections, and due to these connections there is twin transfusion syndrome. So when there is twin transfusion syndrome in less than 26 weeks of gestation, we perform fetoscopic laser ablation. So as you can see, we have performed fetoscopic laser ablation and stop the anomalous connection. This is the last image, and in this image we have your exit procedure. Exit procedure is basically ex utero intrapartum treatment. So basically in babies who have airway compression due to your cervical teratomas or cystic hygromas, what we do is we have a team of gynecologist and neonatologist, and during the in between the delivery, the baby is partially delivered and the airway is maintained so that the baby has a good prognosis. Thank you.